Welcome everyone to Kraken of the Week, episode 11, and this week we have a game from Nelson-DsM in the mighty Tier V Premium Battleship California. We have a game of domination on New Dawn going on here, and you can see Nelson was spawned in the very southern point for the blue team, and looking at the movements of the red team, there's a lot of ships moving to the south. One thing you're going to see in this game is an incredibly high number of damage and a ton of Citadel hits. Right there, first salvo of the game for Nelson, gets 3 on a broadside to Ismail. And a broadside to Ismail makes such a delicious target for a battleship. And you can see we get the second salvo here, another Citadel, and all of a sudden that Ismail's lost 90% of its hit points within the first 2 minutes of the game. Looking around at the rest of the team, we do have a friendly cruiser right here in front of us and the friendly destroyer that is in the sea cap. However, we can see that destroyer is coming up really close to the enemy cruiser, and that's going to be a very tough predicament. Nelson here looking at both targets, trying to decide which to shoot at. Looks like the cruiser has the Mitsuki handled, so he's going to go ahead and fire this salvo at the Ismail. Get the guns off the board, always a good call. And you can see right here the Montecuccoli finishing off the destroyer. However, it sat still for too long. Kind of a bad move by our cruiser there, and they end up going down. And all of a sudden things are looking a little dicey here on the southern cap. Lost both our destroyer and cruiser support, and we have the Marblehead that we're shooting at right here, and we see that there was another enemy destroyer in the cap that's currently capturing the sea point. So a little bit of a dicey situation, and Nelson, realizing what's going on, immediately hits the brakes. Here we see the Trento pop up. That was unexpected. We didn't know there was another enemy cruiser in there. Then we also see the enemy destroyer left the cap, is pressing us, so now we got to really start making some moves. And that helps a ton right there. Getting the Death Strike in the high caliber metal 3 minutes into the game. So a phenomenal start. And now, since we did fire that salvo, we had the smoke penalty, which means any ship sitting in smoke can see a battleship's guns for the first 20 seconds after firing. And so we're just waiting for that to cool down. Unfortunately, we do also have an enemy plane in the air that is spotting us. Before dying, the Trento was able to get his torpedoes off, take one of them, but fortunately we still have 2 heals and the damage control was ready to go, so we didn't have to worry about the flooding damage too much. Nelson playing it smart at this point, turning around, get the stern pointed towards the destroyer, make it a little bit harder for them to hit with the torpedoes. And right now, unfortunately, waiting on those HE shells to reload, and in this process, we're just going to have to tank some damage from both the destroyer and Marblehead. Thanks to the early maneuvering there, getting the stern pointed at them, we see that the torpedoes are able to harmlessly pass by. Now we're really needing those secondary batteries to do something for us here. Needs to come alive and get the T-22, or else we're just going to continue to burn and take additional damage from their guns. Fortunately, the secondaries do kick in. That is kill number 3, 5 minutes into the game. And things are looking pretty good now all of a sudden. Looks like the blue team was able to take care of the A cap. B cap was kind of a wash. And Nelson is absolutely cleaning up down here on the C cap. After taking out the destroyer, wisely switching back to AP shells. Because now we know that we have this Marblehead that is sitting right here in the cap to take care of. Looking in the top right, we see already at 90,000 damage and 6 Citadels. We're going to get a lot more Citadels before this game's over. And honestly, this is one of the higher number of Citadel hits I've seen for a battleship. Right here, Marblehead does decide to challenge the California. Going broadside, never a good call. Takes 3 Citadels and the Dev Strike. And that is kill number 4 already. And it's sitting at 112 damage. Marblehead had, though, wisely already launched their torpedoes. Nelson does get hit with 2 of them. Fortunately, though, able to prevent any flooding And now we're sitting still at about 16,000 health, but still have another heal coming along once the cooldown ends. Now, before this next salvo goes out, I want you guys to pay attention. 112,920 hit points so far in damage. And there's only 2 ships left. And I want you to compare this to what Nelson ends up at. It's going to absolutely be astounding how much damage he is able to continue to pile up through the rest of this match. The quick stats on the California. This thing has 4 turrets, 3 guns with each turret, 356 millimeter. Some of the best guns at the tier. It is the same as the Arizona. Personally, I enjoy playing the California more than the Arizona. You get a little bit quicker reload time. And honestly, I think it's probably one of the best battleships at the tier for the ability just to deal out raw damage on both battleships, cruisers, and even destroyers for that matter. You can see, unfortunately, C never got capped by either team, so that's a plus that the enemy isn't capping, and kind of a negative that we aren't accruing any points on that. Fortunately, though, we do have the 2-ship lead, and more importantly, that we have a 2-destroyer lead. 2 destroyers, and the enemy is stuck with just 2 battleships. This is an ideal matchup that our team should be able to handle fairly handedly, but as always, you need to make sure that if you want to win, you're going to be the reason why, and staying alive is going to be the key. You'll see here our first destroyer goes down, just gets way too close to the battleship. No reason to be spotted at this point. And then right here, our second destroyer kind of doing the same thing. Fortunately, he's smart enough to use the island somewhat. Nelson, making sure to pick his targets wisely, goes for the broadside Mutsu, gets several hits and the Confederate medal. And truly a really, really good example of how you should be playing a California battleship. There, we saw our second destroyer get too close to the Fuso and end up dying. And that's what I mean. If you want to win a game, you need to make sure that you're staying alive and doing the most, because you never know how your team is going to react and perform. Nelson wisely, not immediately just pushing into B, making sure to stay aware, paying attention to the angling of the Fuso. He knows that there is the Mutsu out here, so you saw that slight right turn, just in case the Mutsu is going to come all the way around to the north of the island. He's going to make sure that he stays angled. In the meantime, though, this Fuso is getting himself in some unique situations here. And guns are pointed away, and a completely broadside Fuso makes for a very good target. Unfortunately, RNG just not on his side right there, only landing 2 of those shells from the 12-gun salvo. Fuso kind of realized the situation they were in. Now Nelson, looking back and forth between the 2 targets, got to pick which one is going to be the most advantageous to deal out the most damage while also protecting his own health points. Right there, my guess is look and see what the secondary range is. I always want to make sure I do that. If you push pause on the screen, you can't see that. Fortunately, does pick the right target, gets a solid salvo on the Fuso. Once again, another Citadel hit. And now we see that the Mutsu is sitting behind the island. Now you have to be a little careful with the Mutsu. They do have torpedoes, and I think they're on something of a 20-second reload time. So they can put out a lot of torpedoes in the water in a short amount of time. Fortunately, continue to check the Fuso. Fuso's guns are still turned the other way, so that is not a concern. It allows Nelson just to focus purely on the Mutsu and kind of playing this game here of which ship is going to come around the island first. Looking at the minimap, the angling is in Nelson's favor significantly. Has just the front 2 guns on target, but that is more than enough. Getting several Citadels, getting the Dev Strike and the Kraken. Just absolutely phenomenal showing right there. The torpedoes that we were talking about, there they are coming through the water. They do not pose a threat. So great job by Nelson, avoiding the torpedoes, getting the dev strike. That's some great RNG, kind of making up for what we saw against the Fuso earlier. And a broadside Japanese battleship is absolutely a juicy target. And we got to see the American guns doing the best that they can right there. So now making the great move, immediately turning towards the Fuso, angling up, and also getting in the cap. Now this prevents the red team from accruing any points during this time. So at this point, the game is won as long as Nelson can continue sitting in this spot or if they can get the kill. Glancing over at our other friendly teammate, we see they have a significant amount of health. So this is looking like it's in the bag. And overall, this has been just absolutely stellar battleship play. Now, battleships are mostly going to be there just to dole out damage. They're going to get 3 or 4 kills because they have the biggest guns. They have the highest potential damage. But we saw here killing the destroyers, killing cruisers, and killing battleships. We got to see a little bit of it all in this game. And if you remember earlier, I told you to go take a look and keep in mind that he was at 112 damage. And right here, getting just the front 2 guns once again on a broadside battleship. And that's going to take him up to 196, getting the last gun on target. Going to get the kill shot, another Citadel, and take it up over 200,000 damage. So able to get an additional 90,000 damage on those last 2 ships. Great game overall. Well, that's all we have today. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them below. If this is your first time coming to the channel, consider hitting subscribe. We'll have a lot more games coming at you shortly. Have a good one.